Welcome to Fireside Knicks. My name is Alex. Make sure to subscribe below before we start this episode on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as always. Today we're going to take a look at three keys for the Knicks to beat the Indiana Pacers, who have won three of their last four games. The Knicks coming off two consecutive losses to the Milwaukee Bucks and the Charlotte Hornets. And the main kind of thing that the main problem, the main deficiency has been the starting team, right? Julius Randle kind of inconsistent the last couple of games. He's had some big outings, but then, kind of quiet 10 points against Charlotte. And then you have RJ Barrett, who's combined for 11 points last two games after having that set streak of 5 games where he's putting up 20, 25 a game. And now he's kind of simmered down. He's quieted. He scored 2 points against the Hornets, and that's kind of unacceptable for a player that needs to be contributing regularly. When you don't have that consistency with the starting team, it really presents a big issue, right? Because the Knicks have had to kind of rely on that second grouping a lot. Derrick Rose, of course, kind of dominant on that second team with Obi Toppin in transition. Alec Burks knocking down those corner shots, really collapsing the defense and kicking those passes out to the corners so they can capitalize. The defense has been a lot better. And I think the one thing that really angers me about the starting team is that they've been hinting at the fact that they've been out-muscled, out-rebounded, out-muscled in addition to that. And I think that's a big indication that they're just not playing well and they're not giving the maximum effort they need to be, right? If you're being out-hustled, that is not an excuse to be, failing at the NBA level. When you're being paid that much, when you're expected to be this good or that good, you need to at least go 100% every game. The Knicks seem to just give up. The starters, at least. The second team seems to come out and really want to put up points and play aggressive defense, which they have done really, really well. They've kept the team really in some of these games lately, but the starters have been really disappointing. A couple of key contributors have failed. Of course, the injuries at center, Mitchell Robinson with a hip flexor, Nerlens Noel with the right knee sprain. Jericho Sims is just young. Taj Gibson had an ankle injury last game. He got knocked out. So, we're looking at a team right now that is dealing with some injuries with the big men, but it's the perimeter defense that really is not doing well. And against the Pacers, of course, the last time they played, they were defeated. They scored 20. Miles Turner, big man, sharpshooter, hit 70% from 3-point range. He scored 25 points. They allowed three of the Pacers starters to score over 15 points, including Karis LeVert. He had 21. Malcolm Brogdon had 17. They're a little bit healthier now. You're looking at their statistics. Brogdon's averaging 22.4 points per game over 9 games. Domantas Sabonis, 18.3. LeVert, 16.3. Miles Turner, 14.6. Chris Duarte, who the Knicks really liked in the draft, converting 14.3 points per game. And TJ McConnell off the bench, 10.4. Of course, they have Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, some good guys on the bench as well. They have a pretty good starting team. Now, the Knicks have a better reserves, right? The Knicks have better reserves for the most part. But, when you're looking at their 3-point percentage, they're not a great 3-point shooting team by any means. When we're looking at 3-point attempts, Miles Turner shooting 44%, averaging about 5 attempts per game. He's their best 3-point shooter, aside from Chris Duarte, who's hitting 40% over 5.5 attempts. They have a very interesting offense, right? They have a modernized center in Miles Turner. Stopping him is a priority. But the number one key for me in this game, getting RJ Barrett back into his groove. RJ Barrett has not played well lately. When he's playing well, he draws a lot of attention. It opens up the floor. They have to get him more involved. They'll have to get him and his confidence up because right now he's really struggling to maintain his confidence. And I think that's holding him back tremendously toward what could be a much better season up to this point. As I said before, he combined for 11 points over the past 2 games, recording just 2 against Charlotte in 26 minutes. He didn't hit a single shot from deep, and he holds a 33.8% success rate from beyond the arc. Kind of just not good this season. His inconsistencies this year have affected the team's chemistry and production, right? He needs to be a guy that drives to the basket, uses his left hand, draws defenders in, kicks it out to the corners, to those sharpshooters like Kemba Walker and like Evan Fournier, who really hasn't done much on defense. So I think that, starting with RJ Barrett, we know Julius Randle can score. We know Fournier can score. We know Kemba Walker can score. But RJ Barrett draws a lot of attention when he's playing well, and it really helps the starters play better. And he's just not confident right now. Hopefully these couple days off gives him a little time to rest, get his shot right, and come out against the Pacers guns blazing because they need to take an early advantage. They cannot settle into a deficit again and hope the second team drags them out of it. It's not sustainable basketball over the course of a regular season. Now, key number 2, better starting team production. That is the number one kind of issue they're facing right now. But I think it starts with RJ Barrett in this game. They need to get him more involved. They need to get him hot. And I think that that's going to be the catalyst towards the offense and the starters really playing better. So as a unit, during practice, this weekend, Derrick Rose said they were working, the first team was working on just moving the ball around the perimeter, moving it from side to side, getting more chemistry involved. And I think that's a really good way to kind of get rid of those isolation issues, because right now the Knicks are really, the starting unit especially, is really forcing Julius Randle and forcing these guys, Kemba Walker, to try to do everything on their own. The isolation shots from Randle are good sometimes if the matchup is right, but you don't want him taking all these fadeaway shots. Half of them don't make it, or probably more don't make it. I think that you really got to be moving the ball, easy baskets, right? These baskets, these fadeaway step back jumpers that Randall is trying to execute on, there aren't high percentage shots all the time. I think they need to be better in that category, and I think that will go a long way in helping them kind of revive that starting unit. And the third one is perimeter defense, right? The perimeter defense for the Knicks this season has been abysmal. Overall, the rim protection has been great. The rebounding's okay. It's not great. The injuries there have had an impact, but they've really allowed mediocre shooting teams to perform really well. Like the Bucks in the first loss of this 2-game losing streak shot 52% from three-point range. They're not a great three-point shooting team. They did hold the Hornets to under 30%, which is really good considering they are the number one three-point shooting team in the league as of Friday. So that's a pretty good indication that they put a little bit more effort on the floor, but the perimeter defense needs to be better, right? For the starting group especially, they need to close out shots. They cannot let these open looks take advantage. They're really just collapsing so fast, and teams know once they collapse, kick it out to the corner, no one's going to be there. They lack the effort to actually send guys to the corner and to close out those opportunities and actually contest them, which makes the efficiency rating go down exponentially. The Knicks have not been good with that. The perimeter defense is a big focus of mine for the Knicks, especially when you're talking about guys like Miles Turner, who will pull up from three whenever they feel like it, and they'll knock down a good percentage. He's so tall, he's so big. If he gets a free look, he's probably going to knock it down. You need to be right in his grill. You need to have your hands up, really putting pressure on him. Otherwise, you're just giving him three-point attempts. He's hit 70%, 7 of 10 in the most recent loss to the Pacers like a week ago. So they need to be up in his grill, making sure it's contested, force him to go inside. They're a really good offensive rebounding team, the Pacers. So that's a big thing that they're going to try and win over the Knicks. They need those big guys to be healthy. They need Mitchell Robinson to step up. They need Julius Randle to use that physicality. But I think those are the three things they need to really focus on to win this game. RJ Barrett needs to have a bounce back game, needs to show some of that confidence and that good production we know we can do, and also just good defense, because we know he's a good defender. He's just kind of lacking the chemistry with his teammates right now, passing guys off, communication. They're lacking communication, effort. Those are two things essential for good basketball. Better starting team production. We know this. They've been really poor lately. The second team's been carrying the load. And then perimeter defense, close out those sharpshooters really quickly, force them to beat you inside. The Knicks have great rim protection defense. Force teams to beat you inside. Do not let them beat you with their three-point shooting. It'll make maintaining offensive production, really hoping to be in that game in the fourth quarter, a lot more simple than having to maybe match a 50% three-point efficiency. It's just impossible to do that on a game-by-game basis. So that's kind of what I think of the three factors the Knicks need to win this game. They really got to turn things around. If the starters in the second team are really playing in unison at a high level, they're an incredibly difficult team to beat. But I have to say, I think it starts with defense. I think that they're a good offensive team. Their defense has been lacking just tremendously. And I think that if they don't increase that defensive rating, which is I think 25th in the league right now, it's going to be a longer season than we hope for. But I think they're just kind of starting to gel. Of course, we're still a couple games into the season. There's still a lot of time. But effort, man, just put the effort on the court, leave everything on the court, go 110%, because they're just getting out muscled, out rebounded, out hustled. And that's just not, you can't justify, struggling with that kind of excuse. You need to be going 100% all the time as an NBA team, and players that really have all the talent in the world. So if you guys enjoyed this little mini episode talking about how the Knicks can overcome Indiana today and tonight on Monday night, make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Knicks episode.